Hello, welcome to Iron Cherry 61. Okay, because I want to do a video regarding like strategy in Rome Total War because as you know, I'm quite a big fan of strategy. So yeah, if you know, yeah, my favorite military commander from the Roman era was like Fabius Quintus Maximus. So he was very famous for the Fabian strategy against Hannibal. So when it comes to strategy, okay, I have watched this video by Blue how do I pronounce Blue Matona. So yeah, he made this video about the top 10 strategic provinces in Rome Total War. So this was an excellent video. I actually agree with all his points. So I'm going to do a bit of a video response on so I want to give my opinion on this topic. So when it comes to playing Rome Total War, yeah, having this strategy based on the geographical region can be quite helpful. At least for me, for someone who is a more strategy oriented player. So some people are more tactical in playstyle. That means they focus on getting better units and better this stuff and here and that lah. But when it comes to strategy is mainly about like I believe the big picture. So in the long term, assuming that every country has roughly the same unit strength, like I won't say like one. I won't say like maybe for now Roman has when tactically speaking Roman has better units than the barbarians. But in the long run, if all the settlements of each factions are upgraded, then I make this assumption that everyone has roughly the same unit strength, at least on a tactical level. Then that's where strategy comes into play. So whoever holds the more valuable provinces who I would say have the advantage at least in winning a war, especially a long war of attrition. So yeah. So now okay, one of the strategic city I would say to hold is okay, at least for with regards to my most recent campaign, I would say is maybe the city of Seleucia. So why I say Seleucia or either Seleucia, maybe Seleucia or Susa, but I think Seleucia will be a better candidate. So because the thing about Seleucia is if you play as Parthia or Armenia, when you play as either Parthia or Armenia, these are the two eastern faction, or maybe as Pontus even. So whoever expand to this region, whoever conquer this region will have to face against the Egyptian and the Scythia. Okay, for the Scythia, there's this long mountain range, so there's only a few passes that the Scythian army can march through. So for the Scythian, there's already a huge vast distance for the Scythian army to travel all the way down. Plus, the region here is relatively undeveloped, so you won't be expecting them to send stacks of army to come down and come down to this region. Yeah. As for the region around here, there's the desert. So the desert is another like form of barrier, geographical barrier for the Egyptian, because the Egyptian, if they were to send like stacks of army to invade your territories around this region, this is where Seleucia will come into play. Holding Seleucia will allow you to, because Seleucia is like the what I will call it the outermost city, is the one that guards the entrance from this direction. So this is where because if the Egypt let's say you play as either Seleucid, Pontus or Parthia, you want to hold this region against the Egyptian invasion, this is a good place to hold, to defend, to meet a like sort of final stand. So you can basically defend against like multiple stacks of Egyptian army. Because if you look at the desert, basically what the desert does is it stretch out the logistic in this area. So the Egyptian can, even no matter how many armies they have, they can only send one or two stacks at a time. So by the time they reach they reach your settlement here, then you can defeat them in detail. That means you can defeat the Egyptian stack one by one. So this is a good place to delay them, because the desert is like a sort of, you can call it a flood plain. floodplain. It's used to, it can delay the Egyptian army from reaching your border right here. Plus, there's a bridge as well, so you can hold you can hold a bridge battle with a relatively few troops. So I'd say this is quite a strategic province for any eastern faction right here. Yeah, especially if you adopt a more heartland strategy. That means if you assign this to be your capital, so you want this to be a heartland. You want to develop the settlements around here to the max. This is a heartland is where you can develop settlements to the max at the rear without like, because if your cities at the front line, then they are at the risk of occupation by the enemy forces. So there's no point developing the settlements to the max. But here you can slowly develop the economic assets here, rather than investing in military buildings. You can build more like economic buildings. You don't need to build walls and stuff. So this can be your heartland. So this is where like holding Seleucia will be a good strategic like province to defend against the Egypt because of the huge desert right here. So it take a damn long time for them to reach your settlement right here. So this is a very good defensive position, I'll argue. So okay, then the next strategic area I would say that is quite valuable to hold is probably Sicily. So whether for the Roman side or the Carthage side. So whoever control the entire Sicily will have a very good staging point for launching invasion to Italy or Carthage itself. So Sicily is also where you can build up your naval base and control the sea trades around here. So this is why Sicily is also another strategic area you have to consider. So if you want to meet your plan if you want to meet your like next step, or if you want to like come up with a next step for invading a province or whatever, then Sicily is something you might consider. Like as Carthage, you think you'll plan ahead. Maybe at first maybe what you do is you might conquer the desert right here. Then the next thing is to plan of like a simultaneous invasion of Sicily or whatever But whatever the case, Sicily will be a strategic province to hold, because you can see there are three factions actually vying for control over here. There's a Carthage here, there's a Sicily here, there's a Roman here, and there's a Greek here. So these three factions are fighting for control over Sicily. So maybe you should try to do a knockout blow against each other so that you can have full control over the island. So holding Sicily is very important, because for Carthage you can launch an invasion to southern Italy. You can basically secure a very good defensive line around here. So once you establish a solid defensive line with maybe one or two stacks of army, then no matter whatever armies the Roman throws at you, you can sort of like seal off any like any like counter attack from the Romans. So Sicily allows you to like take control of all these. So if the Romans manage to push you back and conquer this and retook all these two settlements, at least you have Sicily as a place to retreat back to. So you can retreat back to Sicily, and Sicily, there's this water body that acts as a form of defense against any land invasion. So the only way is through naval That's the thing. So maybe for Romans as well, Sicily, for the Roman side, taking Sicily will allow you to launch invasion for Syracuse to Greece itself. So you can do a surprise invasion. Yeah, maybe you can do a pincer movement. You can attack through here. You can like drop a forces to land the troops here, or you can march an army down. Yeah, so that's for the Roman side. Then for the Greece, it's the same thing. You can either take Carthage or you can take the mainland Italy. So Sicily is another very strategic province I would say one should consider. Okay, so when it comes to geographical strategy, so I first talked about desert as a form of geographical barrier. Then there's also the mountain as a geographical barrier. And after that, the island is also another geographical barrier to any potential invasion. So island is also another one. So what is the next one? So the next geographical features that as a form of barrier would be like the river. So in a fight among the barbarians, contesting the region around the Rhine River, will be a good strategy to start with, especially when fighting with other barbarian factions. So there's a Rhine, that the Rhine River separates the Germanic faction from the Franco-Netherlands region, like, and the Belgian and Luxembourg region. So all these, there's this Rhine River that's separate, and there are only a few bridges that you can control. So taking the settlement here, and settlement here will be valuable. So you can either cap. Let's say if you are a Germanic faction, this settlement will be like your beachhead across the river. So if you lose this settlement, you still can retreat back to here. Then you can reconquer so this is like a beachhead. The settlement here is like a beachhead on the opposing side of the river. So it's where you can launch invasion, or you can retreat away. You can retreat back safely across the river. So this is like among the Germanic faction, the barbarians faction. Also, don't forget the forest as well. So forest is a good place to launch ambush. So forest, I would say, typically maybe benefit the barbarian faction more, especially the berserkers. So imagine if you are the Roman troops and you are in the forest and suddenly you are ambushed by all the berserkers from attacking from all sides. I think you are pretty much screwed. So if you know the very famous battle of let me double check. So battle of the forest the Talbot forest. So basically the Romans were simply ambushed. So the Romans were ambushed by the Germans, and this actually stopped the Roman advance into Germanic region. Remember that the Roman Empire at this time was powerful. They have conquered Britannia, they have conquered France, they conquered Italy, entire Italy, and maybe most of Greece. But they couldn't expand their empire into the Germanic region because this area was so forested. So yeah, that was pretty much the reason why it was hard, because this Germanic region was more central. You may argue that yes, the French area is also quite forested as well. The Spanish region is not very forested. As you can see, there are many open space. The French region is also quite forested as well. But the thing is, at least the Roman can but the thing about France is that at least he has quite an open coastline. So the Roman can easily, like, because the Roman control the Roman had very strong navy. So the Roman can easily drop troops on the coastline and attack all the settlements from the sea. But the thing about the Germanic region is it's very central and it's a bit more isolated. It's not, the coastline here is not as easily accessible as compared to the France here. Because the coastline here is quite like, they are within they are trapped by this Danish coastline, as well as the Norway coastline. So doing a naval invasion for here will be pretty hard. Yeah, and not to mention the forest. So the forest here, I would say, is a much greater barrier as compared to the one at France. So I say control the settlement here will give you a good position. So the Rhine River, for me, a strategy based around the Rhine River might help you like gain a strategic advantage over your rival barbarian faction. Okay, then another very strategic province to control would be any choke point. This is not necessarily a choke point, but more like, how do I call it? There's a term for it. It's called a passageway or a canal. Whatever, is basically this narrow water body that goes between like two nearby shores. But in others, my point is like Constantinople and Nicomedia is also very good strategic locations. So let's say if you play as Greece and as Tracer, you control Byzantium, then this is where you can start to launch invasion of like Asia Minor, or vice versa. If you are playing as a Asia Minor superpower, you control the entire Asia Minor, then you want to drop an invasion force to here, you need Byzantium as a sort of like, it's a good capturing Byzantium will be a good place to start like expanding out into the region right here. So yeah, that's the okay, I said wrongly. When I talk about it's called a strait. Sorry, when I'm talking about a strait, If you check the definition, so any like strait is basically a narrow passage of water connecting two seas or any nearby large water. So that's the Bosphorus Straits. Yes, correct, Bosphorus. So I'm talking about, so like I said, just like I talk about the desert, the mountains, the forest, the river. So another geographical features I'll talk about is like the strait. So you conquer any settlements like that are located near the strait will give you, will allow you to like do either defense or will allow you to either like defend or attack like the neighboring faction. So Byzantium and Nicomedia will be these like very strategic cities to hold. Is the Strait of Gibraltar around here is probably another I would say another quite strategic provision. So you capture Cordoba or thingy, you can arguably have quite a strategic location. You have quite a good strategic control, because when Carthage because Carthage basically like capture like because Carthage basically capture southern Spain during the war, the Second Punic War. Carthage controlled southern Spain, and I believe they launched the invasion from here. I don't know, I'm not very sure about that, but same for the Romans as well. But I'm not going to touch on that because I'm still not very familiar with the period of like Carthage war in Spain. Yeah, but yes, is this, you can argue that this strait is quite a strategic passage location, but the thing is that the location here is not very valuable when it comes to resources and settlement. So like for here, because you are located near the very like resource rich region like Greece and Asia Minor, so controlling the strait here is more valuable than controlling the strait here. So there's no, to me, it's not important to control the strait here in order to launch an invasion of Spain from North Africa or vice versa, because I can do it from here as well. I can launch an invasion from here and here as well, so I don't need to necessarily control this. But here is different. Here is very valuable. So the thing is, if I want to launch an invasion from here into here, I think that if you look at the distance, is a bit less convenient. It's a bit far. Then maybe from here to here is possible, but it's a bit far. Plus, you expect a strong navy from this faction because they are quite rich. Now, but this is just assumption of me But whatever the case, I think whoever control like Asia Minor can easily anyway capture these two regions are quite accessible. So if I control Pergamion, I can easily reach this city within a few turns. Same for this one. If I'm a Thracian faction, I should capture Byzantium as my first city. So yeah, it's very accessible as compared to here. Here is a bit more, the distance is a bit far. So if I'm a Numidian faction, I won't take the time to travel to bring an army all the way here to capture this region. Yeah, there's no point. So this strait is not as strategic as I supposed to. Also, back to the part about about the Seleucia as a strategic city. I mentioned that there's this desert as a barrier against any Egyptian invader. So the thing is, I forgot to mention that even if the Egyptian capture Arabia or this city, the problem is that this city is very, very undeveloped. So it will take them time to make it into a mighty settlement where they can make it the main base of operation to launch an invasion from here to here. So that's why, because this settlement is basically useless, it takes time. You need time to grow the population. So for the time being, capturing Seleucia from this direction be hard because of the desert. So the developed settlements that are nearby are around here, not this. This settlement is too undeveloped. So no point the Egyptian capture this because it's undeveloped. They can't train, and what's the point of having a developed settlement? You can build more advanced barracks, so you can retrain your units or whatever. So if the Egyptians send stacks of army to attack me and I basically manage to destroy 80% of their army, then they have to like they need a place to retreat back to in order to retrain and recruit new units. So the thing is that this is so undeveloped. It's not a good base of operation. So only the only developed settlements are right here. So that's why this desert is I would say is a mighty barrier to delay any like enemy invaders. Okay, so back to back to my next point. Okay, now I will say the last strategic area I can think of is probably like maybe this region like Aquania, this area. This area is in modern day Yugoslavia and Hungary. So I would say Aquanium, Sagastica, and Salona. I think these are this area is pretty strategic. So let's say as Dacia, why do I want to control Aquanium? Because Aquanium is quite a, I would say quite a defensible position, because it has there's large, basically it has large plains surrounding it. So any invading army from Sagastica will have to travel quite a distance before they can reach Aquanium. I don't know how to pronounce. Aquicum. So the plain is basically, or you call it the steppe out. When it comes to Russia, when it comes to this area, you call it the steppe. So the plain area, the plain here is quite the distance here is quite vast. So any invading army will take quite a long time to reach Aquicum. Then even if then any army that try to come from this direction, they have to go through all these forests, mountains, and all the rivers around here. So if I'm Dacia, which is quite a weak faction, I would say control Aquicum will be quite a good position to hold. I mean, at least when it comes to defensive. So after capturing Aquicum, then the next city to capture will be Sagastica. So capture Sagastica is basically a doorway into mainland Italy. Yeah, this one there's nothing much I can say. Yeah, you also can use this to block off any Italian advance from this direction. And the next is to capture Salona. Why? Because either Salona or Apollonia, because these two are the coastline city that are facing the Italian cities here. So if you want to launch a invasion, if you want to launch a surprise naval invasion of the Italian peninsula, capturing these two like coastal city will be valuable, not just for Dacia but any other faction around here, like as Greece as well. As Greece, if you capture the coastline here, you can like launch an invasion, a naval invasion of the Italy peninsula. Yeah, as well as any other faction that is expanding in this direction. Yeah, because you can choose to invade from Sagastica, but because land, I'll argue that naval invasion is faster than land invasion, because land you have to march over a long distance, whereas naval is like very fast. If you can cross the sea relatively quickly. I believe historically speaking, traveling by water is supposed to be faster than traveling by land. Yeah, because I believe river or any water body is a valuable transport route for any invading armies. Not just invading army, but even like for merchants or whatever. So river is any water body. So yeah, Salona, Apollonia, Sagastica, and Aquicum. So I mentioned two geographical features. The first one is the plain, basically the flat plain around here. The flat plain can be a mighty barrier as well, especially when you are using a purely horse archer or heavy cavalry force. You can basically defend this area quite well, because the Roman is mainly infantry based. So if you train a large contingent of cavalry force, you can basically rout any like Roman army that is trying to march across this plain into campus. That's trying to march across this plain into either Aquicum or Campus Ezegius. Yeah, And also this area is further protected by mountains. Yeah. So these northern Balkan areas are, yeah, I guess it's quite a strategic area to hold. And then let me think something. So the plain, yeah, plain, especially like say for if you train a strong cavalry force, you can run any Roman army that's marching across, because they are mainly infantry base as compared to here, because this place there's not a lot of open space. So Romans, they usually excel in in infantry tactics. So I guess conquering Greece would be easier for them, because here a lot of less open space and more focus on infantry combat. So Roman has an advantage in infantry combat. So all these tight spaces around here is ideal for Roman tactics. Whereas the plain here is quite, I would say it favors any cavalry forces, especially the barbarian. The barbarian generally have stronger cavalry force than the Romans. Then I also mentioned a second geographical feature, which is coastline. Coastline is another important geographical feature. So capture Salona, Apollonia, controlling this coastline will either allow you to defend against Roman naval invasion, or vice versa. If you want to invade the Roman coastline here, you can invade from Salonia or Apollonia. Yes, okay. Maybe I want to talk about another one more strategic features or whatever strategic features or area that you might be thinking of holding, especially whether you are playing as any other faction and you are aiming for world domination. So any other faction, whatever so for example, maybe the step here, when I say step, I'm referring to this, the Russian steppe, flat unforested grassland. So I would say the step strategy generally favor horse archer. So if you are Roman, if you control campus, maybe not this one, you control this one, campus, Samantha, Hannes, you can see there's a huge distance between this settlement, and any invading army has to cross across. Any invading armies have to march across this large open space. So if you have a strong horse archer army, you can basically rape any infantry forces that's marching on this flat plain. So if you build the settlement here up, and you build them up such that you can easily retrain your horse archer units, then you can basically create a very strong defensive position. Yeah, or even a good base for invading all the settlements around here. So if you know how the Mongols start, if you know where the Mongols start their invasion, is basically from the steppe here. So the Mongol invaded Eastern Europe from this direction. So they have a defensible position in the steppe that the European army cannot hope to intrude, but at the same time they can launch invasion from this direction, because their horse archer can travel faster than the infantry based army. So you can launch a Mongol style invasion from here, or here, even down. So you think of Mongols, or maybe even the Soviet Union, how they liberate Eastern Europe. It's a very Mongol style. You look at the map, it's sorry, let me check. If you see how it's the same. Actually, if you look at the Soviet Union strategy, they are partly inspired by the Mongols. Like the deep battle operation. Yeah. So you can launch this kind of widespread offensive across the steppe. So you build out your settlement around here, then after you start to launch your invasion, like a Soviet style invasion like this kind. capturing large portion of land. If you are able to pull it off, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but my point is, steppe is a very good like geographical area you can take advantage of for any army basically. Same as the desert. The desert is also a huge area. So any Egyptian army that, because Egyptian they only have chariot and they have their strength lies in their chariot and the archers. But if you are Armenia, Pontus or Parthia, you have a strong horse archer you have a strong horse archer and cataphracts forces. So any Egyptian army that march across this desert will be raped by your horse archer in an instant. So it'd be good to build out a settlement here and here so that you can retrain and you can easily retrain and recruit all your horse archer and cataphracts unit. So yeah, that's the point. That's my point. So these are some of the strategic region you can hold. Maybe other strategic region you can think of is like maybe Britannia itself. If you think about the UK, Operation Sea Lion and all this, how UK as a island nation is able to defend itself, capture the entire region here will help. But the thing about UK is because Britannia is that it's a bit isolated from the main action in Central Europe, Italy and Greece, and maybe perhaps in the Middle East as well. So the area here is a bit isolated. So yeah, I mean it's a defensive position, but it's not that strategic in this era. Yeah, because this is where the main action is. The thing about Greece that yes, it's a very strategic position, but at the same time, because the coastline here is a bit exposed for an invasion from here and here and here, yeah, it's quite vulnerable actually. The thing about Greece, and plus because the region here is a bit resource rich, so I would say any rival nation who definitely take the risk to invade Greece by sea, because the resource gain here is I would say the reward basically outweigh the risk. Plus the coastline here is quite exposed. So yeah, Greece is quite a vulnerable region. So it's not that strategic to hold, because provided you have the means to protect it. Protect your coastline here. When I talk about strategy, I'm thinking of in terms of like how defensible it is, how easily you can launch how easily you can launch invasion from here, from this location. Yeah. So Greece is, because it's such a resource region, I guess any neighbor country will take the risk to capture it. So this is quite vulnerable region. Yeah, this one is also as well. This one is also quite vulnerable. Yes, it's very resource rich, and I think any faction that want to take out Egypt should wisely drop an invading forces here and immediately capture all this rich region. So it's a strategic region to hold, but at the same time, I would say it's also a bit vulnerable to naval invasion, provided you have the means to defend it. Because the coastline here is a bit exposed from invaders from here, here, and here, and here as well. Yeah, so here are my thoughts on like the strategy area in Rome Total War. Yeah, okay, so let me know what you think.